I am an assassin with a heart as cold as ice cream. Having just died, I transmigrated into the real heiress of a prestigious family. The daughter no one loved. The moment I arrived, I was standing in the middle of a cliched melodrama. The fake heiress was falsely accusing me of deliberately pushing her down the stairs. My father frowned, glaring, his voice full of indignation. How could I have a daughter as vicious as you? My mother sorrowfully hugged the fake heiress tightly, wiping her tears while shouting at me. If anything happens to your sister, you get out of this house immediately. I silently rotated my wrist, my gaze fixed. Suddenly, I grabbed the fake heiress's hair. Without hesitation, I violently slammed her head against the wall. This time, she was probably really dead. Before transmigrating, I calmly wiped the blood from my hands. On a large screen in the shopping mall, an urgent bulletin for my arrest was continuously broadcast. Taylor, female, 24 years old. Caused 8 murders within 10 days. The victims were all males with prior records of rape. Hearing that, I smirked, giving a faint smile. 8 cases were clearly 10 people. I put on my mask, preparing to leave the area when I suddenly felt dizzy, and my vision went black. A mechanical, unfamiliar voice rang in my head. Linked with you, data transfer in progress. The next second, I completely lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes again, my mind was forcibly crammed with a segment of memory that didn't belong to me. I looked into the mirror, a youthful face. Unfamiliar yet so beautiful it was hard to look away. And realized, I had transmigrated into a girl with the exact same name as mine. Taylor. The system in my head spoke again. Host, please complete the mission within 1 month. Replace the conservative original host, Taylor, and live the life that rightfully belongs to her. I raised an eyebrow. Am I allowed to kill people? The system strictly forbids murder. The mechanical voice replied coldly. If the host completes the mission, all the girls who were sexually assaulted in your original world will have their painful memories erased by the system and be given a normal life. And the criminals will be eliminated. I nodded. Then it's a deal, I'll do it. Taylor in this world lived for 17 years. A short life. So melodramatic that even novels would bow down. She was swapped with her nanny's biological daughter right after birth. The nanny's daughter lived a life of luxury, becoming the fake heiress of the Stark family. Meanwhile, she was sold to a remote mountainous area, tilling the fields and cooking all day, only daring to seize the opportunity to study literacy under the moonlight at night. If she was caught, she would be beaten within an inch of her life by her adoptive parents. That hellish life lasted until she was 15, when the Stark family discovered the truth. But even though they brought her back, everything was merely a formality. The Stark family prioritized benefits. The so-called family affection was worthless. They doted on the fake heiress, carefully educating her to embody the temperament of a wealthy young lady. While the real Taylor was a girl with a country appearance, clumsy, cast aside, ignored, time and time again. The fake heiress blatantly framed and harmed her. Yet the Stark family believed the fake heiress without any hesitation. Taylor grit her teeth and endured, desperately striving only to be seen by them just once. But the only response was still cold indifference. Finally, she developed severe depression, reaching the absolute peak of despair with this world, and bought a whole bottle of sleeping pills intending to bid farewell to everything. And right at that moment, I transmigrated. It's useless to die, I thought. Does death solve anything? Only inherent cowardice would allow every cat and dog to dare climb on top of you. I stood up, using 2 fingers to gently pinch the bottle of pills, and casually toss it into the trash can. The door suddenly burst open. I looked up, facing that fair, delicate face. Very quickly, in my memory, I cross-referenced that face with a fierce, frightening countenance. This was Jessica, the cuckoo in the nest. She held her head high, condescendingly slipping a half-used lipstick into my hand. Sister, she said. Mom and Dad instructed that you still write my name for this final exam. Consider this your reward. Although Taylor grew up in the mountains, she was naturally intelligent, coupled with her diligence and desire for self-improvement. Her academic performance was always very good. After being brought back to the Stark family and receiving a high-class education in the city, Her academic achievements advanced even more remarkably. Meanwhile, Jessica maintained the demeanor of a spoiled rich young lady. The Stark family focused all their efforts on cultivating the perfect heiress image for their supposed daughter. Jessica's academic performance only remained barely passing. The day Taylor first achieved the top rank in the entire school, she thought she could finally make her parents look down on her less. Maybe even look at her one extra time. But before she could hand the report card to her parents, Jessica suddenly cried, demanding to run away from home, saying her grades were too poor, not as good as Taylor's, that only by leaving would she achieve the best outcome. The Stark parents immediately hugged Jessica heartbrokenly, impatiently scolded Taylor, believing she intentionally flaunted her report card in front of Jessica. From then on, the Stark family demanded that Taylor write Jessica's name every time she took an exam. And Jessica would write Taylor's name, to create the image of the most perfect heiress for the Stark family. After several unsuccessful protests, Taylor could only numbly accept the reality. Waking up from the memory, I gave a faint laugh and opened the lipstick that was shoved into my hand. The used section of the lipstick was ruined. Under the light, it shimmered with a repulsive greasy sheen. Jessica smiled charmingly. Mom and Dad bought me too many, and I can't use them all. Things that aren't used up shouldn't be wasted, so they're just right for you, sister. Before she could finish, I forcefully shoved the lipstick in my hand into her mouth. Shut up. Her mouth was utterly despicable. I didn't deliberately control my strength. But the movement was too quick, too strong. Jessica's left incisor predictably fell to the ground. She crouched down in pain, her mouth covered in bright red mucus, indistinguishable whether it was leftover lipstick or fresh blood spurting from her gums. She seemed to not expect that I would dare to resist, her face full of disbelief. Taylor, how dare you? She screamed. I happily took a breath of air. The smell of fresh blood is truly invigorating. I crouched down, smiled at her, then thoughtfully pressed her head down, slamming her face hard onto the floor a few times. Why so talkative, helping you wash your mouth out? Having said that, I gently stretched, squeezing past her and heading for the door. Jessica in the room went crazy, screaming and howling. I shut the door with a loud bang, isolating the sound outside. She can be as noisy as she wants until she dies. Taylor is 1.70 meters tall, weighing only about 45 kilograms. Her skin, which was originally translucent white, had become pale and sickly due to prolonged malnutrition. Peter, rummaged through the refrigerator for a while, shoving everything I found into my mouth. This body must have been starving for a long time. My stomach was so empty it felt like my intestines were sticking to my abdominal wall. How spineless must one be to let oneself become like this? How one lives is not decided by fate. If the surrounding environment hinders you, then fix the environment, instead of always bowing down, fantasizing that the environment will change for you. That is the way of the weak. Once I am Taylor, I am her. The hardships and grievances she suffered, I will reclaim for her. 100 times over. I ate my fill and stepped out of the kitchen, just in time to see Jessica limping down the stairs. She saw me, opened her mouth as if to say something, glanced at the main door. A cunning flicker crossed her eyes, and she immediately fell to the ground right in front of me, moaning as if trying to endure the pain. The Stark parents arrived home from work. That was the first scene they saw. Mother Stark was so rushed she couldn't hold her briefcase steady. She ran to Jessica to check her injuries. Jessica, what happened? Why did you fall? Are you hurt? Father Stark also rushed over. My dearest daughter, are you all right? Don't get hurt. Jessica wiped away her tears, feigning distress, glancing at me, then said pleadingly, Today I wanted to build more rapport with my sister, so I gave her my favorite lipstick. Unexpectedly, she suddenly hit me, and even pushed me down the stairs. It must be because my lipstick wasn't good enough. Because I'm adopted and my belongings soiled my sister. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, it's all my fault. Mother Stark suppressed her anger. Why did you harm your sister? Your sister sacrificed a part of our love to share with you. What more do you want? I folded my arms across my chest, leisurely looking at them, and said lazily. Her talking disgusted me. I hit her because I wanted to, but I didn't push her. She's faking it. I've always been one to own up to what I've done. But don't blame me for things I didn't do. Father Stark roared angrily. How dare you talk back? How could I give birth to such a shameless thing as you? Jessica affectionately looped her arms through her parents. Don't be angry, Mom and Dad. Sister definitely didn't mean it. Jessica is fine, and Sister wasn't cruel. Jessica isn't dead, at least she's still alive. Saying that, she choked back tears, sobbing. Oh, is that so? I calmly rotated my wrist, grabbed Jessica's hair with one hand, and aggressively slammed her head against the wall. This time, she must be dead, right? I used all my strength. Jessica didn't even have time to scream in pain before she passed out. The Stark parents didn't have time to react, frozen in shock. After a long time, Father Stark, his eyes bloodshot, rushed over and slapped me. Taylor's body was truly too weak. It took a bit of effort for me to block his swinging hand. I calmly smiled at him. Dear Dad, your beloved daughter. If you don't take her to the hospital immediately, I'm afraid she might not die but suffer brain damage. Hearing that, despite his flushed face from anger, Father Stark still hurriedly carried Jessica and rushed out. Jessica was finally taken to the hospital by ambulance. It was not life-threatening, but an ugly scar was left on her forehead. For Jessica, who valued her appearance as much as her life, this was a heavy blow. The Stark family valued their reputation and dared not escalate the matter. They only publicly stated that Jessica fell down the stairs herself. But Jessica herself couldn't swallow this humiliation. The first day I returned to school, I encountered a group of spoiled young ladies. A girl with purple hair, the leader, heavily made up, holding a cigarette, said, Taylor, I warned you not to bully Jessica again. Why do you keep repeating yourself? Having said that, she grabbed a nearby mop intending to hit my head. I swiftly snatched the mop away. Without uttering a single superfluous word, directly choked her, and pressed her head into the nearby toilet bowl. She screamed in terror, struggling. I impatiently clicked my tongue, tied my hair up, then switched hands, holding her head down with my foot, and forcefully stomped down. Her head hit the bottom of the toilet bowl with a loud sound. She fell silent, now only begging for mercy. I held her head tightly, preventing her from moving. My left hand pulled out a cigarette and a lighter from her pocket. And I slowly looked at her and said, High school students should focus on studying. Why are you smoking? I let go of her hand, lit a cigarette, and put it in my mouth. The spoiled young ladies next to us hadn't even had time to take action. They were all stunned, pinching their noses, and backing away. The arrogant and haughty look they had just moments ago was gone. At this moment, they all stood blankly in place, afraid that the next person to be shoved into the toilet full of filth would be them. So they dared not take a single step forward. Taylor, has something unclean possessed you? I gently scoffed, blowing cigarette smoke into their faces. In the original host's memory, this wasn't the first time these people had caused trouble. Each time, under the guise of helping Jessica, they would drag Taylor into the bathroom, verbally abusing her at best, and physically assaulting her at worst. The original host went from initial resistance to gradually becoming numb. They treated Taylor like a punching bag who wouldn't fight back, never expecting that she would one day retaliate. At this moment, their eyes were all filled with terror. I didn't bother with them anymore. Washed my hands at the sink, then walked out without looking back. Jessica's injury looked severe on the surface, but after not long for treatment, she returned to school. The moment I entered the classroom, she was clutching her bandaged forehead, stammering as she spoke to everyone. Seeing me approach, she instinctively took a step back. A cold male voice rang out from the front. Taylor. I looked up, immediately meeting eyes as cold as ice. My heart suddenly ached. I clutched my chest, slightly surprised by this body's intense physiological reaction. Looking closely at the young man in front of me, and cross-referencing him with the face in my memory, I realized that was Johnny, Taylor's fiancé. But this fiancé was in name only, although the original host loved him deeply. Johnny, like a blind quail, only believed Jessica's words. The harm he inflicted on the original host was no less than her parents. Johnny noticed I ignored him. His eyebrows furrowed deeper, violently grinding her face into the floor a few times. Why so talkative? Helping you wash your mouth out and clean it up. With that, I gently stretched, squeezed past her, and headed out the door. Jessica in the room went ballistic, screaming and yelling. I slammed the door shut with a bang, soundproofing the noise outside. She can be as noisy as she wants until she screams herself to death. Taylor is 170 centimeters tall, weighing only about 45 kilograms. Her skin, originally clear and white, was now pale and sickly due to long-term malnutrition. Peter, rummaged through the refrigerator for a while, stuffing everything I found into my mouth. This body must have been starved for how long? My stomach was so empty it felt like my guts were sticking to my abdominal wall. How spineless must one be? To let oneself become like this? How a person lives is not determined by fate. If the surrounding environment is obstructive, then fix the environment instead of always bowing down, fantasizing that the environment will change for you. That is the way of the weak. Once I am Taylor, I am her. The hardships and grievances she suffered, I will reclaim for her. Tenfold, 100-fold. I ate my fill and stepped out of the kitchen, just in time to see Jessica limping down the stairs. She saw me, opened her mouth as if to say something, glanced at the main door. A cunning flicker crossed her eyes, and she immediately fell to the ground right in front of me, moaning as if trying to endure the pain. The Stark parents arrived home from work. That was the first scene they saw. Mother Stark was so rushed she couldn't hold her briefcase steady. She ran to Jessica to check her injuries. "Jessica, what happened? Why did you fall? Are you hurt?" Father Stark also rushed over. "My dearest daughter, are you all right? Don't get hurt." Jessica wiped away her tears, feigning distress, glancing at me, then said pleadingly, "Today I wanted to build more rapport with my sister, so I gave her my favorite lipstick. Unexpectedly, she suddenly hit me, and even pushed me down the stairs. It must be because my lipstick wasn't good enough. Because I'm adopted and my belongings soiled my sister. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, it's all my fault." Mother Stark suppressed her anger. "Why did you harm your sister? Your sister sacrificed a part of our love to share with you. What more do you want?" I folded my arms across my chest, leisurely looking at them, and said lazily, "Her talking disgusted me. I hit her because I wanted to, but I didn't push her. She's faking it. I've always been one to own up to what I've done. But don't blame me for things I didn't do." Father Stark roared angrily. "How dare you talk back? How could I give birth to such a shameless thing as you?" Jessica affectionately looped her arms through her parents. "Don't be angry, Mom and Dad. Sister definitely didn't mean it. Jessica is fine, and Sister wasn't cruel. Jessica isn't dead, at least she's still alive." Saying that, she choked back tears, sobbing. "Oh, is that so?" I calmly rotated my wrist, grabbed Jessica's hair with one hand, and aggressively slammed her head against the wall. This time, she must be dead, right? I used all my strength. Jessica didn't even have time to scream in pain before she passed out. The Stark parents didn't have time to react, frozen in shock. After a long time, Father Stark, his eyes bloodshot, rushed over and slapped me. Taylor's body was truly too weak. It took a bit of effort for me to block his swinging hand. I calmly smiled at him. "Dear Dad, your beloved daughter. If you don't take her to the hospital immediately, I'm afraid she might not die but suffer brain damage." Hearing that, despite his flushed face from anger, Father Stark still hurriedly carried Jessica and rushed out. Jessica was finally taken to the hospital by ambulance. It was not life-threatening, but an ugly scar was left on her forehead. For Jessica, who valued her appearance as much as her life, this was a heavy blow. The Stark family valued their reputation and dared not escalate the matter. They only publicly stated that Jessica fell down the stairs herself. But Jessica herself couldn't swallow this humiliation. The first day I returned to school, I encountered a group of spoiled young ladies. A girl with purple hair, the leader, heavily made up, holding a cigarette, said, "Taylor, I warned you not to bully Jessica again. Why do you keep repeating yourself?" Having said that, she grabbed a nearby mop intending to hit my head. I swiftly snatched the mop away, without uttering a single superfluous word, directly choked her, and pressed her head into the nearby toilet bowl. She screamed in terror, struggling. I impatiently clicked my tongue, tied my hair up, then switched hands, holding her head down with my foot, and forcefully stomped down. Her head hit the bottom of the toilet bowl with a loud sound. She fell silent, now only begging for mercy. I held her head tightly, preventing her from moving. My left hand pulled out a cigarette and a lighter from her pocket. And I slowly looked at her and said, "High school students should focus on studying. Why are you smoking?" I let go of her hand, lit a cigarette, and put it in my mouth. The spoiled young ladies next to us hadn't even had time to take action. They were all stunned, pinching their noses, and backing away. The arrogant and haughty look they had just moments ago was gone. At this moment, they all stood blankly in place, afraid that the next person to be shoved into the toilet full of filth would be them. So they dared not take a single step forward. "Taylor, has something unclean possessed you?" I gently scoffed, blowing cigarette smoke into their faces. In the original host's memory, this wasn't the first time these people had caused trouble. Each time, under the guise of helping Jessica, they would drag Taylor into the bathroom, verbally abusing her at best, and physically assaulting her at worst. The original host went from initial resistance to gradually becoming numb. They treated Taylor like a punching bag who wouldn't fight back, never expecting that she would one day retaliate. At this moment, their eyes were all filled with terror. I didn't bother with them anymore. Washed my hands at the sink, then walked out without looking back. Jessica's injury looked severe on the surface, but after not long for treatment, she returned to school. The moment I entered the classroom, she was clutching her bandaged forehead, stammering as she spoke to everyone. Seeing me approach, she instinctively took a step back. A cold male voice rang out from the front. "Taylor." I looked up, immediately meeting eyes as cold as ice. My heart suddenly ached. I clutched my chest, slightly surprised by this body's intense physiological reaction. Looking closely at the young man in front of me, and cross-referencing him with the face in my memory, I realized that was Johnny, Taylor's fiancé. But this fiancé was in name only, although the original host loved him deeply. Johnny, like a blind quail, only believed Jessica's words. The harm he inflicted on the original host was no less than her parents. Johnny noticed I ignored him. His eyebrows furrowed deeper. "Please return the $300 of class funds you stole." I looked amusedly towards Jessica in the corner, speaking assertively. "She told you, didn't she? Have you people checked the surveillance camera?" Most of the people in the class threw me looks of contempt. It seemed natural for this theft to be pinned on me. The homeroom teacher stood in the corner, standing coldly in place, her eyes fixed on her textbook, not even bothering to glance this way. I knew she intended to stand by and watch. In Taylor's memory, every time she was falsely accused, the scene was exactly like this. Johnny was in the same boat as Jessica. Classmates only believed her one-sided story, and the homeroom teacher was indifferent. Johnny's face darkened even further upon hearing me. "There's no need to check the surveillance camera. Jessica wouldn't lie. Besides, this isn't the first time you've done something bad like this. Taylor, I advise you to seize the moment and quickly hand over the money. I can still show respect to your uncle and aunt and let it go. Otherwise, it won't be so easy to talk about later." As soon as he finished speaking, he unhesitatingly reached out to frisk me. I glanced at the cold face of the young man in front of me, let out a soft HMPH, and in a flash, spun around, locked his arm, and slammed him onto the floor. "Young Master Peter, although our two families have an engagement, doing this in front of so many people, you directly groped me. That's not very appropriate." Johnny was stunned, his face flushed red, glaring at me with disgust. "What nonsense are you talking about? I have absolutely no interest in you. I just want to find the class funds you embezzled." "Really?" I looked down at the flimsy strap dress I was wearing, thinking, where on my body could I possibly hide money? Except if I intentionally thrust my chest out a little. Everyone there followed my gaze and looked that way. Johnny's face immediately turned crimson. "Taylor, you are truly shameless." I feigned shyness and covered my chest. "You don't check the surveillance camera but unequivocally trust Jessica's word, assuming I took the money, and then want to frisk me. Isn't this intentionally trying to harass me?" "Sister." Jessica, looking glum, walked over from the corner of the room. "I saw you take the money with my own eyes. You just need to return it. There's no need to say these nonsensical things. Why intentionally conceal the truth?" I squinted at the girl acting, and the more I looked, the more annoyed I became. The next second, I raised my hand and delivered a resounding slap right across her face. I felt much more refreshed inside. Jessica seemed not to expect that I would dare to slap her in front of so many people. She was both angry and wronged, her eyes red-rimmed. Johnny rushed over to check her injury, angrily shouting at me, "Taylor, you're insane." I calmly pulled out a tissue to wipe my hand, no longer bothering to play the victim with them. I looked down at Jessica with contempt. A person full of cunning schemes, yet likes to pretend to be weak and innocent. Then I cast a hateful glance at Johnny. A person completely lacking the ability to think for himself, truly an idiot. I clicked my tongue twice, amused, and repeated, $300. I grabbed Jessica by the collar. "Are you suggesting that a nanny's daughter like you can wear designer clothes worth tens of thousands of dollars, while I, the biological daughter of the Stark family, have to steal this $300? Sister, what nonsense are you talking about?" Jessica was so embarrassed and angry her face turned pale. The Stark family, for the sake of appearances, had never publicly disclosed the truth about Jessica's and my identity. Outsiders only rumored that we were twin sisters. Jessica was raised like a princess, while I was left in the countryside for training before returning. Moreover, the Stark parents were extremely biased. In the eyes of outsiders, Jessica was the true pampered young lady. Sure enough, after I said those words, the surrounding whispers immediately grew louder. Taylor's implication is, Jessica is not the Stark's biological child, but the nanny's daughter, and Taylor is the real eldest daughter of the Stark family. Is this true or false? It sounds plausible. How could a wealthy young lady like Taylor steal $300 from others? Look at the clothes Jessica is wearing. It's a new item from Chanel, retailing for $20,000. Jessica was both angry and wronged. "Taylor, don't talk nonsense. We are clearly twin sisters from the same mother and father. Why do you want to slander me like this?" "Oh, twin sisters from the same mother and father. Then why are you wearing designer clothes, while I have to steal this $300? Jessica rolled her eyes, stammering, "That's because your academic performance is poor, while I always rank first in the grade. Moreover, sister, what is mine is yours. My clothes are your clothes too. We are a unified entity. How can you say such things?" After hearing her finish, I couldn't help but laugh mockingly. It turns out that shamelessness can reach this level. Taking possession of someone else's things, and still daring to use it as a banner to show off. But clearly, this excuse was well received by those around us. They quickly showed expressions that they understood everything. After all, Taylor always achieved the highest scores in the whole school. But the name on the report card was Jessica's. In a family, favoring the children with better academic performance, who are superior in every aspect, is a common occurrence in wealthy families. I smirked, calmly staring at Jessica. Currently, I still don't intend to expose everything. Hunting must be done slowly, step by step. To let the prey gradually lose hope, that's the only way it's interesting. Indeed, I bent down close to her, under her panicked gaze, and took out the bank card from my pocket. "What is $300? I smiled coldly, then turned to the homeroom teacher standing in the corner watching the spectacle. "The money in this card is at least a few $100,000. I'm donating it all to the school. Of course, Madam Teacher can allocate $30,000 as class funds." With that, I quickly shoved the card into the homeroom teacher's hand. She was a person who craved fame and wealth to the bone. Normally, seeing the Stark family valued Jessica much more than me, she turned a blind eye to everything Jessica did to me. Whatever Jessica said was right. She never bothered to investigate the truth and evidence. But in the face of abundant cash, the good image she tried to build in front of Jessica immediately crumbled into pieces. Her eyes lit up as she accepted the card, hastily shoving it into her own pocket. Although it was a donation to the school, she wanted to secretly take a portion for personal use. Of course, no one would know. Jessica shrieked deafeningly, reaching out to snatch it back. "What are you doing? That's my card." I covered my mouth in astonishment, feigning a wronged look. "Oh, is it my sister's? Just now, you said we were a unified entity. And what is yours is mine too. So, isn't your card also my card?" Jessica bit her lip tightly, looking painfully at the card. How can that be? My things are naturally your things. It's just, sister, you can't just throw away so much money. So casually for the sake of false pride. I leaned close to her ear and said, "Oh, why do you call it casual? I am donating money here in the name of the Stark family. I am doing public service for the family. Is my sister perhaps begrudging this money? Not wanting to donate to the school? How is that possible?" Jessica was naturally begrudging this bank card. The Stark family transferred $50,000 of living expenses to her every month. Plus holiday money, festival money, and small amounts of money the Stark parents casually gave her. This card had at least nearly $1 million. It was safe to say it was Jessica's entire current fortune. When I transmigrated, I checked Taylor's account, which only had $50. The Stark family beautifully claimed. They couldn't let Taylor, fresh out of the mountains, be stunned by sudden wealth. So they only gave her $100 in living expenses each month. The original host didn't care about the material wealth the Stark family gave her. She only wanted her parents to look at her more, to care for her a little more. In the end, she fell into the outcome. Johnny frowned upon seeing all of this, his eyes clearly showing anger. "Taylor, by what right do you use Jessica's money to do these so-called good deeds? Return the card to her immediately." I scoffed coldly. "By what qualification do you lecture me?" Having said that, I leaned close to his ear, speaking softly. "The other classmates don't know Jessica's identity. They think she and I are twin sisters. But you can't be unaware of her background. Stop provoking me. Otherwise, I won't hesitate to take a loudspeaker and announce to the whole world that she is the nanny's daughter." Johnny was stunned upon hearing this. He could only stand there trembling with anger. The Peter family and the Stark family were longtime friends. The grandfathers of both families had arranged the engagement between me and Johnny in the previous generation. Later, the old man of the Stark family passed away, and the old man of the Peter family valued the contract made with his old friend even more. However, before I returned, the one who was always engaged to Johnny was Jessica. The old man of the Peter family was both traditional and valued loyalty. After I returned, he resolutely insisted on changing the marriage partner from Jessica to me. No matter how much the Stark parents and Johnny objected, they couldn't change his mind. Johnny considered himself and Jessica childhood sweethearts, deeply in love, and fundamentally didn't care whether she was the Stark's biological daughter or not. He saw Taylor as the culprit who destroyed his relationship with Jessica. Moreover, Jessica constantly badmouthed Taylor in front of him, making his hatred for her intensify. Meanwhile, the original host Taylor, in these 2 short years, had fallen deeply in love with him. The homeroom teacher saw the scene and acted very quickly, afraid we would change our minds and take the card back, and hurriedly rushed downstairs. Before leaving, I didn't forget to leave a message. "The Stark group has made a contribution to the school. I will make sure to inform the entire school fully." After this incident, the classmates' eyes looking at me and Jessica became complicated. Jessica was furious, her face turning green, but she could only pretend to be kind and generous. As she walked past me, she whispered softly in my ear, "You wait." I happily closed my eyes. It had been a long time since anyone dared to say those words to me. "All right then, I'll wait. My dear sister, you mustn't disappoint me." That night, when I opened the door to go home, a metal ashtray flew straight towards my face. I quickly shifted to the right, reached out and caught the ashtray, then threw it back without mercy. The glass table in the middle of the living room shattered into pieces. You dare talk back to me, and you dare hit back." Father Stark angrily stood up. I calmly closed the door. Otherwise, waiting for him to throw that ashtray at my face would probably be enough. Mother Stark looked at me fiercely, glaring. "I heard you bullied Jessica at school again, and took her bank card to donate, didn't you?" I shrugged indifferently. "I donated. The money is for the Stark family to save face. Is there anything wrong with that?" Father Stark roared. "If you want to donate, donate your own money. Why did you use Jessica's money?" The entire living room immediately fell silent. I replied amusedly. "Donate what? Donate the $100 in living expenses you give me?" Hearing that, both of them looked a bit uncomfortable. Avoiding eye contact, My mother very quickly puffed out her chest again. We don't give you much in living expenses. Isn't it because we're afraid you'll bring your country vanity here? We're doing this for your own good. I rubbed my ear, my patience slowly running out. Looking at the people in front of me, I only wanted to pull out a dagger and end the matter with 3 stabs. But thinking of the system's mission and the promised conditions, I still closed my eyes, took a few deep breaths, and tried to calm down. Seeing I said nothing, Father Stark impatiently spoke again. Not only do you share the love and affection for Jessica, you also stole her fiancé. Jessica not arguing with you is already being too kind. You are the older sister. You should love and protect her more, not constantly harm and confront her. Mother Stark also folded her arms across her chest. Tomorrow is the school's final exam. Remember clearly, just like before, write your sister's name down. I will let these matters go and not pursue them further. I smiled faintly. That won't be possible. Hearing that, the Stark parents immediately became enraged. Taylor, why are you so selfish? Jessica is your sister. Even if you don't think for her, you should think for the shared honor of the Stark family. What a statement. Think for the shared honor of the Stark family. How clever, all honor is poured onto Jessica, while all the bad, mediocre things are piled onto me. The Stark family only needs one most excellent and perfect daughter. They feel satisfied with that, and the other person's life or death doesn't matter. But in this world, could there truly be parents heartless enough to let such a thing happen? I calmly looked at them. I want to go upstairs to study. If there's nothing, don't disturb me. Otherwise, I won't mind announcing Jessica's true identity all over the place once. Having said that, I went upstairs by myself, ignoring the high-pitched yells and angry shouts downstairs. My dear sister, tomorrow's final exam will be the first irreversible turning point in your smoothly sailing life. Just wait and see. The next day, the final exam took place as usual. Picking up the test paper, I carefully wrote my name, Taylor. The original host's memories were very clear in my head. Seeing these questions, I naturally felt so familiar with them it was as simple as eating a meal. When the exam finished, I relied on the distributed answer key to predict the result. Unsurprisingly, I was still ranked first in the entire school. On the day the scores were announced, I didn't see my name on the achievement board. First place, Jessica. I frowned slightly, then walked a few more steps, only to see my name on the wall. 590th place, Taylor. This time, Jessica was first place again, ahead of the second person by several dozen points. So talented. That's right, Jessica is both beautiful and academically gifted. No wonder the Stark family favors Jessica more. And that Taylor not only has poor academics, but I heard her character is also awful. Jessica emerged from the crowd of praises, a modest smile blooming on her face. As she walked past me, she slightly pouted as if saying, "So what if you wrote your name? As long as I want it, everything belongs to me." She pretended to be apologetic and patted my shoulder. "Everyone, don't talk about my sister anymore. Some things can't be achieved just by trying. It's not her fault that her grades aren't good." Hearing that, the people around her praised her even more. "Jessica, you are truly too kind, even defending her. I see, that $300 the last time was indeed taken by Taylor. And in the end, it was just to cover up her guilt. Using Jessica's money to pretend to be a good person. Truly disgusting, yes. She's truly a spoiled, bad girl." I gave a faint laugh. I didn't need to think much to figure it out. With the influence of the Stark family, bribing the school administrators to change the test papers wasn't difficult. They truly stopped at nothing. I suddenly turned around and spoke intimately. "Actually, for this math problem, there's one question I don't understand. Could I ask you?" Jessica maintained a smile of course, no problem, but said dismissively, "We can discuss it when we get home." Her eyes revealed a triumphant look, as if saying, "No matter what I do, I will always be the final winner." I ignored her words and continued to ask. I just wanted to ask about the trigonometry question in the fill-in-the-blank section of the math test. Why is sin x equal to 1? And for the final question in the chemistry test, why is the final answer calcium oxide? Jessica smoothed her hair, calmly replying, "The answer sin x equals $1. Although I solved it in just a few minutes, It might be a bit confusing for you. Tonight when we get home, I can help you explain it again on scratch paper. As for that chemistry question, I found it very simple. It's probably because I practiced more test papers. She finished speaking and even gave me an affectionate smile. Only, the surroundings were very quiet. Without the praise she imagined. The second-ranked student in the grade stood in the corner, hesitantly asking, Jessica, are you sure that fill-in-the-blank math question is sin x equals $1? Jessica hesitated for a moment, then glanced at the score report. Seeing a perfect score in math next to her name, she confidently said, Of course, I'm sure the answer is 1. Another moment of silence. Finally, I couldn't hold back, and casually said, Little sister, that fill-in-the-blank question is indeed equal to 1. But it's $cuz beta equals $1. The entire question didn't mention sin x at all. Her face suddenly turned pale. I smiled, continuing to add, Oh, right, the final question in the chemistry test. The answer is not calcium oxide, but iron oxide. Little sister, you're so smart. Do you know what iron oxide means? Jessica was both furious and shocked, her hands clenched, trembling incessantly. I patted her shoulder. Iron, oxide is the literal meaning of scrap iron. Just like you, garbage. How dare you insult me? I didn't bother with her anymore. I turned around, took out a large speaker from behind my back, and turned the volume up to the maximum level. Everyone must have already seen it. Jessica's academic performance is not real. How could a truly excellent student forget the problems they solved? Why did Jessica, who only managed barely passing scores in 10th grade, suddenly become the best student in the school? I held the speaker, slowly approaching her. That's because Jessica has always cheated, plagiarizing my achievements, while I, Taylor, was forced to write her name on my test paper. The surroundings immediately erupted in whispers. Jessica screamed frantically. You're lying. My achievements were all earned by myself. You're falsely accusing me. I only misspoke just now because it was so easy I forgot. I smiled calmly. I already guessed she would say that. It's very simple to prove it. I took out 2 test papers from my bag. Let's just stand here and take this test within a set time limit. By then, won't it be clear who is lying? Jessica looked at the 2 test papers, her eyes wide, saying in a voice only the 2 of us could hear, Taylor, you prepared this in advance. You deliberately set a trap for me. Did you also know long ago about Mom and Dad's involvement in changing the test papers? I calmly looked at her. Of course, I knew about the tricks they were pulling behind the scenes. It's just, what if I don't follow their wishes? There are better dramas to come. So, what's wrong, little sister? Are you scared? Come on, baby. I waved the test papers in my hand. Jessica was furious, glaring at me, then suddenly leaned against the wall, covering her head with her hands, looking pained. I'm sorry, sister, I'm not feeling very well today. I probably don't have time to play this boring game with you. Faking sickness, I guessed that long ago. I said nothing more, picked up the speaker, pressed play, and turned the volume up to the highest level, broadcasting what I had just recorded. Taylor, you prepared this in advance. You deliberately set a trap for me. Did you also know long ago about Mom and Dad's involvement in changing the test papers? Jessica's deliberately lowered voice, under the amplification of the speaker, clearly echoed throughout the schoolyard. Jessica was startled, trembling, and reached out to snatch the speaker from my hand. She angrily rushed towards me, seemingly completely unaware that I would use this speaker to record her last sentence. Taylor, you prepared this in advance. You deliberately set a trap for me. Did you also know long ago about Mom and Dad's involvement in changing the test papers? I held the speaker, continuously playing the sentence on repeat. The expressions of the people around us became complicated. The words had been spoken to this extent. There was nothing left to misunderstand. I put the speaker away, unceremoniously pulling Jessica up. Excuse me, little sister. Come with me to the principal's office for a trip, won't you? I want you to apologize. In front of all the teachers and students. No, I'm not going. You intentionally framed me. I'm going to call my parents. Let go of me, Taylor. Let go, you bitch. She struggled wildly, her screams deafening. I frowned impatiently, clicked my tongue, threw her down on the ground with one hand, then hooked my arm around her neck, and dragged her directly along the floor. Oh, too noisy. Don't worry, your parents have already been informed, and are on their way here. Of course, they have to come. If they don't, how can the things I'm about to do go smoothly? The principal was a kind person, fair and reasonable. When I showed him all the evidence, he didn't say a word, and immediately took a pen to write a letter of exoneration for me. Jessica next to me was so angry her eyes were red, frantically tearing things and screaming. My parents haven't arrived yet. Don't you dare convict me. Mom and Dad won't let me suffer such a grievance. As soon as she finished speaking, Mother Stark rushed in from outside the office. Jessica immediately grasped at her like a lifesaver, grabbing the mother's clothes. Mom, quickly help me. Mother Stark indifferently pushed her hand away, instead hurriedly running over to pull my arm. Quick, 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 let's go, save your father. Your father got into an accident on the way here. If we don't hurry, it'll be too late. I calmly pulled my hand away. If he got into an accident, go find a doctor. Why look for me? I'm not a doctor. No. Mother Stark was sweating with anxiety. What are you talking about? Your father is at the hospital. Both of you have a BRH negative blood type. Right now, the nearby hospitals can't find this blood type. You are your father's biological daughter. Only you can save your father. I smiled indifferently. Oh, isn't Jessica also your daughter? You should tell her to go. Mother Stark tightly knitted her brows. She's not our biological daughter. Not biological. I pretended to think. Not biological. Then why is her monthly allowance $50,000, and mine is only $100? She wears brand name clothes worth tens of thousands, while I wear clothes from the roadside market. I worked so hard to get first place. Yet the school had to write her name on the paper. Madam Stark, go outside and ask anyone. Tell them to look at your and your husband's behavior like this, and see who exactly is your biological daughter? Mother Stark lowered her head in shame. Taylor, listen to my explanation. From now on, your allowance will also be $50,000 a month. As long as you go to the hospital to save your father now. Want me to save him? Sure. I leisurely sat down, and immediately announced on the group's official account the true identities of me and Jessica, along with the fact that Jessica used my academic achievements over the years, and at the same time, separated the Stark subsidiary company from the parent company, transferring all the subsidiary company's shares to me. Mother Stark was so shocked by my words she nearly fell to the ground. How dare you make such a demand? If you don't want to, then I'll leave. Just let him wait to die. Mother Stark hurriedly grabbed my arm, saying miserably, Fine, I agree to your demands. Father Stark had just met with an accident. Mother Stark, who had always seen her husband as the pillar, immediately became like a vine that had lost its support. She didn't even have time to care about her favored daughter, Jessica, and hurriedly posted the content clarifying the identities of me and Jessica on the group's official account, signing the subsidiary company's share transfer document. I also kept my promise, went to the hospital for a blood type test with Father Stark, and then gave him a blood transfusion. In the period before Father Stark woke up, the clarification announcement posted by the Stark group online caused quite a stir. The entire high society knew Jessica was the nanny's daughter. Everything she enjoyed was stolen from me. In addition to occupying my exam scores, many classmates who knew the truth came forward to expose her. Her slandering behavior toward me. In an instant, the image Jessica had painstakingly built completely collapsed. She didn't even dare to go to school, only hiding at home to avoid people. Very quickly, the police arrested Jessica for investigation on charges of exam fraud and impersonating another person to achieve high scores. Mother Stark was busy taking care of Father Stark in the hospital. She fundamentally had no time to pay attention to Jessica's matters. It wasn't until a week later that she was released from the police station. When she returned home, with a haggard face, she fiercely said to me, I won't forgive you. I replied very politely with a smile. After that incident, Johnny also came to find me once. His expression heavy. Taylor, I know all the things you've suffered. But Jessica was just afraid of being abandoned when you returned. Which is why she acted that way. Please forgive her. As long as you publicly express your sympathy for her, our engagement will still be valid. If you don't do that, I will immediately go tell my grandfather to cancel the engagement. I didn't say a word, raising my hand and powerfully slapping his face. Who do you think you are? To come here and disgust me? Johnny was originally a person with high self-esteem. After that time, he never appeared in front of me again. Everything unfolded exactly as I had planned. Until the day I received the acceptance letter for direct admission to Harvard University. Father Stark, who had been in a coma at the hospital, woke up. After learning about what I had done to Jessica, he flew into a rage, calling me to his hospital room, forcing me to write a letter of commitment to forgive Jessica. Jessica stood next to him, gloating and watching me, her eyes full of hatred. I very courteously poured him a cup of tea. Dad, you have free time to care about your beloved daughter like this. Why not think carefully about your own path forward? Father Stark tightly furrowed his brow. You, say what you mean. Didn't Mom tell you? I grinned. Actually, it's nothing much. Just that I have transferred all the shares of the subsidiary company to myself. Damn it, Father Stark was so angry he nearly choked. Mother Stark hurriedly ran over, patting his back and rubbing his chest. Honey, what's wrong? That subsidiary company is only in name, it's okay to give it to her. Father Stark didn't say a word, directly slapping Mother Stark. You stupid woman, the entire company has been ruined by you. I comfortably listened to their quarrel. The Stark parent company had long been just an empty shell. The real power had shifted to the subsidiary company. All the valuable businesses and chain stores were under the subsidiary company. The parent company was only left with a skeleton structure. It's just that Father Stark had always kept this matter very secretive. Mother Stark, naturally, had no idea at all. If I hadn't risked sneaking into Father Stark's room every day to investigate, I probably wouldn't have discovered this unexpected pleasure. How is the company ruined, Dad? I smiled. Handing the company over to an intelligent daughter like me will definitely manage it better than an old man who's about to die. Who can't distinguish right from wrong like you? Father Stark was so angry his face turned white, his finger pointing at me trembling. You, that's right. I added. The house we are currently living in, I've sold it. The money has been donated to the country folks in the mountains that you two despise the most. In addition, I bought you two a 2-bedroom apartment in town. The deed is right there in the drawer of your hospital room. Father Stark suddenly seemed to realize something, forcing down his anger, looking at me with a complicated expression. Was the car accident I had your doing? Were all these things your intentional setup? I looked at him excitedly. Dad, how is it, your biological daughter's schemes, compared to yours? Or even a step above, right? After saying that, I cheerfully whistled, casually brushing aside Madame Stark and Jessica who were standing stunned in the way. Opening the door, and leaving the room. From the hospital room echoed Father Stark's angry roar and Mother Stark's cries, which I completely ignored. After returning home that day, I placed the Harvard University acceptance letter in the newly purchased villa, and fully documented everything that happened during this time in the notes on my phone. After finishing everything, I bought a plane ticket to Europe. News on my phone continuously updated, showing the recent situation of the 3 Stark family members. From no longer having money to pay the remaining treatment costs, to Father Stark wanting to return to the Stark group, but being mercilessly chased out, from Jessica being expelled from school for exam fraud and impersonating others to achieve high scores, to Jessica desperately clinging to the Peter family. After which the old man of the Peter family became enraged and sent Johnny abroad, forbidding them from meeting again. I also saw Mother Stark, who went from being a lady who had never cooked before, to a diligent homemaker, busy with housework every day, and having to endure her husband's unreasonable anger. But all those things no longer had anything to do with me. Taylor, this life is the gift I reclaimed for you. One peaceful afternoon on a small island in Spain, I was lazily sunbathing, enjoying the gentle sunlight and the sound of the waves. Suddenly, the familiar sound of the system echoed in my mind. My body began to feel weightless, as if dissolving into the sea breeze. I calmly closed my eyes. Taylor, I hope the surprises I left behind, you will grasp them well. As for me, It's time to return to that world. To continue doing what the tailor in that world needs to do. To continue bearing the responsibilities that tailor should have borne. Farewell, no need to thank me.